Once there was an explosion. A bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion.
Hey, I'm obsessing again, and today we're going to be talking about Death Stranding. Now, Death Stranding is cited as being an Amazon delivery simulator for people who only played for a few hours. To the ones who finished the story, it was a game about hopefulness. After sitting on the ending of Death Stranding, I conclude this game was beyond both of those. The game's intentionally slow start forces you to understand the lore of the world, as it's not a typical shooter like Hideo Kojima's previous projects. Playing as Sam Porter-Bridges, Norman Reedus, you're a delivery driver in the incomparable USA, dubbed the United States of Cities, where the world has the souls of the dead looming over you, known as BTs, beach things. The barren land and lack of players and NPCs makes for what felt comparable to the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. With the game and life events following a synergy, in retrospect the story's emptiness feels more relatable. The protagonist Sam is a hardened individual who, though isn't chatty, his silence allows you to project your uncertainties and feelings towards the story. Sam's leading questions help us as the player to be at the same stage in terms of understanding the out there concepts of Death Stranding. The ever hopefulness and connecting humanity back together through the chiral network is an easy enough concept to loosely follow during the 40+ hour story. The game's setting contributes to a typical gaminess about it, BTs being lost souls brought to our world, and people like Sam Bridges having to fight or flight to make deliveries whilst connecting everyone to the chiral network. This can make for interesting gameplay elements that can balance out the long and strenuous deliveries with guns and blood grenades at your arsenal. As you progress further into the story, fans of Kojima will be familiar with the Metal Gear Solid style gameplay. However, this is secondary to the main objective of making deliveries. Controlling Sam initially takes some getting used to, rewiring your brain to go from traditionally holding the analog stick in one direction to then shifting side to side using L2 and R2. This crucial part of the gameplay loop provides satisfaction and rewards the player for being pedantic, which plays a more crucial role in preserving packages and keeping yourself alive. Traversing is helped when you acquire the Portable Chiral Connector, PCC, which is a 3D printer on steroids. Printing ziplines or firing cargo from catapults can take the weight off of traipsing through knee-deep snow or hilly mountains. Gradually, over the missions, upgrades like the delivery bot makes deliveries more dynamic with high quantities of packages and heavier weights. Doing what could be perceived as laborious, mundane errands, whilst gently spoon-feeding you little gadgets and gizmos to make deliveries easier helps retain user engagement. When you eventually have access to the bike, the gameplay is invigorated with an Evel Knievel style flair about getting over ramps and verges that gives Sam and BB the perfect dopamine rush. Typically, in the sci-fi genre, you can only be touched emotionally by replicating humanness. Death Stranding's world is strengthened by the human nature of digitally building together. For instance, Blade Runner makes us think retrospectively about our actions in a world that's not entirely relatable to our own. When Deckard is confronted by Roy Batty, the juxtaposition of the hunter being hunted flips the narrative of the story completely.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched C-beams glitter in the dark near the 10-Hauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
Though we know of Roy being a replicant and not human, his intuition and nuance are something of a human. We're left with our internal monologue, questioning what we would do in the situation and who or what we side with. Death Stranding and Blade Runner have a similarity in existential themes. Blade Runner is focused on the nature of life, what constitutes as living, and Death Stranding is on afterlife and connection. Death Stranding, in time, may have a legacy in games of something like Blade Runner. Not an initial success, but becomes a benchmark for innovation and ideas.
Call me Dead Man. I'm well acquainted with the dead.
In this game, you feel isolated from everything. Your warmth and engagement are from being connected to these characters with diverse personalities and desires they have, whether it's Deadman's desire to feel whole like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz,
Beautiful.
instead of Frankenstein, or Hartman being reconnected with his family are deeply human. You'll find yourself second-guessing who to trust and trying to piece where the story is going. In addition, the stories evolve in the side characters through deliveries and email updates. Whether it's the choral artist's failed relationship or the photographer who is looking to carry on her father's work, improving these relationships sometimes allows for more perks in the game. The more you put into Death Stranding, the more you get out of it. Upgrading your structures or contributing to others will only strengthen your investment in the setting and collaborative way of adventure. You will spend time trekking across mountains of snow and slippery verges, longing to see a random structure built by someone you'll never encounter or meet. Issuing likes and seeing how your actions create a ripple effect of supporting others aligns your actions to think on behalf of others rather than just self-gratification. BB-28, BB, or Lou, as she's later donned, becomes Sam's purpose in this world. Sam is longing for reconnection, and his motive throughout the story was connecting the UCA so he can be reunited with Amelie. He was disenfranchised with life and what the UCA stood for. During the game, BB-28 is given as a tool, but gradually during the game, the emotive tool is referred to as BB, sounding like baby. After some hours, it is then indifferently called Lou. Lou, a shortening for Louise, was to be the name given to Sam's unborn child. Through interviews in-game, you find Sam's wife takes her own life after losing their unborn child. At this point, we've established that Lou is more than a tool, and Sam is enamoured. With Sam's fondness for affection with Lou, we also see him become less drawn within himself towards the end of the game. In the opening few hours of the game, it's reaffirmed Sam suffers with aphantasophobia, which is the fear of being touched.
Sam Porter, I presume? Right. Not the touchy-feely type. Document said you had some kind of phobia.
In a world where human interaction is fleeting, it is understandable a condition like this could be prevalent in this world. I also believe his condition and the game may have been influenced from hikikomori, which is existent among young Japanese people. Typically, this contributes to people being severely socially withdrawn and isolated from social interaction. It wouldn't be a stretch for the Japanese studio to reflect on their own culture when creating this game. The use of music can act as a cinematic muse through the strong discography of the band Low Roar. It's a way of pulling you through to the final moments of objective or delivery. Moments of ambient, indie and alternative sounds are used sparingly but emphasise the journeys, more for the time spent delivering and time spent meticulously planning out your route. Hearing the soundtrack play through other users' generated structures makes you feel less alone, knowing on the other side of that wall there is a player doing the same journey and having the same hardships. The sense of community can harken back to the moments of a post-war country or COVID-19 key workers, a sense of all being in it together. When it comes to other users building structures in your game, the fact your creations can benefit other players and people can respond by liking them makes it the best form of social media. Though you can choose however you want to tackle the game, it's easier to contribute than to hoard. I believe this choice was influenced by Hideo Kojima himself. In the BBC's Death Stranding Inside Kojima Productions, Hideo said, "Trump is building a wall and the UK is leaving the EU. In this game, we use bridges to connect things." With Trump's dissonance of building an actual wall and the broken relationship the UK now has with the EU, the political divide has never felt bigger. Kojima's Strand game is trying to bring players together. In conclusion, I believe this Strand game is in honour of Kojima's lonely childhood. In the BBC documentary, he speaks of the death of his father having a deep effect on his adolescence. He described himself as a latchkey kid, one who was home before everyone else is. His deep passion for reading and being in his own world as a distraction from being isolated. The concept of everyone having their own beach when dealing with what happens in the afterlife. Themes of loneliness, reconnection echo his personal journey. At the age of 60, I wonder whether Kojima contemplates who'd wait for him on their beaches.
Wait! Don't leave without me!
Death Stranding is a game about building bridges that benefit digital players, connecting one to another. Your deliveries and interactions with characters in a hologram form are desperate to not feel lonely and are longing for your arrival, like the modern world of Amazon delivery drivers. A feeling we all had when we were locked from the outside, longing for human connection.
I've been expecting you. You are my lifeline.
The introspectiveness of being a lone voyager, longing to reach a destination, is when the game shines brightest. The characters in the story are all longing to feel whole, have purpose, and feel connected in a way a young Hideo Kojima was disconnected all those years ago. Thank you for watching and letting me obsess again.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey. Keep on keeping on. Have a pleasant journey.